Hi again. It's Alex and
Hi.
Linn. Yes. So in this episode, we will go to Ljubljana. We took a night train from Budapest, and then in the morning, as you'll see in the video, we also go to Lake Bled, a famous tourist spot due to the lake's very blue water. So, yeah. Any thoughts?
Enjoy the video.
Yeah, enjoy the video. That works, doesn't it? Enjoy. So I did not end up sleeping much on that night train. So because of that, I have a fair amount of video which I took while we were riding into Slovenia. And I must say, I was very impressed with the natural scenery because, I guess in Hungary, we had been mostly in cities before, but this was a chance to, I guess, see more of the countryside. And as you'll hear me talk about more, I thought Slovenia, in terms of natural beauty, was almost on par with Switzerland. Just it's a bit more affordable. Do you remember anything about the ride in?
It was bumpy and noisy.
It was bumpy and noisy. The train stopped. When the train stopped, there wasn't any air conditioning, so it got very hot very fast. I remember that. So that wasn't the best experience. Other than that, we made it, so there wasn't too much to complain about. So it's now about a quarter past 6 in the morning, the 17th. We just arrived in Ljubljana, Slovenia, after a trip on the night train here. Slept in that compartment back there. Well, I would say slept. It wasn't that the ride was bad, but it was a little hot when the train was stopped and a bit noisy, stop and start. Yeah.
French people.
Yeah, unexpected French people in the cabin as well. So now we have to figure out what to do today, because obviously we can't check into the hotel until 3. We can discuss that off camera. You have any thoughts?
Nah.
Nothing? Not an I'm tired or we forgot something on the train so I can't do this.
It's early.
It's early. It is. Well, then I guess we'll go figure out what to do then. Once we arrived in Ljubljana, it was early enough. Not much was open. The hotel we couldn't check into for a good, what, like 9 hours or something. So we had to find something to do. And we had discussed Lake Bled, as I said, just because it wasn't super duper far away. And it was away. We knew we wanted to see it. So we found a bench to sit on and then just planned for the next steps. And then took the next train to Lake Bled. Aside from the scenery, which was stunning, and I feel like my shots don't do justice, the trip to Lake Bled was uneventful. The trains were a bit less reliable as we had to change in Jesenice, and I remember a railway employee not being quite aware when the trains were supposed to go. So, due to our less than optimal sleep at Lake Bled, Linn was not quite up for exploring around the lake, at least not to the same degree I was. So, because of that, she decided to just hang out on a bench while I walked around and took in the scenery myself. And I don't regret it. I could have used some extra sleep, but as people who know me know, I'm not very good at sleeping in places that aren't beds. Yeah, you see Linn just hanging out on the bench. That was where she was for the next, well, really the 2-3 hours we spent there, I believe. But the place itself was, of course, gorgeous. Um, the water very deep turquoise, quite clear, and a lot of people around because it is quite a tourist draw. They train Olympians there as well for rowing and such. But was there anything you remember from when we arrived at Lake Bled?
I got a hot dog or something.
You got a hot dog? Oh yeah, we did. There was some stand. We walked around a bit to try and find some food because there were restaurants and other things selling things. But we also arrived quite early. I think maybe around like 8 or 9. So not everything was fully open. They did have boats which you could rent and row across the lake. We did not, mainly because it would have been a one-man rowing operation, and I don't think I wasn't spry enough for that. So we'll do it another time. But it was a very nice place to walk around, and that I can confirm.
Heyo.
Once Linn had settled herself on the bench, I had gone up one way, but then I decided to go the other way. Well, I went left originally, then I went right. And towards the right, there were a bit more restaurants and facilities catered towards tourists. I do remember in particular there was a family there. They had two boys, a husband and wife, or partners or whatever, and they were just on their phones the whole time. They weren't even those kids over there in the water. They weren't even looking at them, you know. So I mean, it was good the kids were enjoying it, but it bummed me out a bit because it's such a beautiful place too. To just be there next to the water, squatting, looking at your phone. I can't say I get that fully, but teach their own, I suppose. Once we had, yeah, I continued to walk around a bit more just to explore a bit. You can take boats to that island in the lake that has a church, and you can even ring the bell. We did not get to do that this time. Potentially another time. Um, But yeah, I had walked most of the southern perimeter of the lake at this point, and after that, I decided to go back, wake up Lynn, and that was when we were able to get some food, and we went to a grocery store near the lake, and then once we were done with that, we decided to go back. But we did have to wait a while at the station. The trains in Slovenia are not the most reliable, and I remember these Irish girls next to us. They were being quite loud, and some even took taxis at one point just because they were tired of waiting. But we did make it to the Ljubljana in the end. By the time we got back to the Ljubljana, it was time to check into our hotel, which we did, and we thought it was a fairly nice hotel, or at least it was worth the money. We were only staying one night, so um, yeah, I guess as we mentioned later in the video, we do kind of wish we had budgeted a little more time for Ljubljana, but yeah, I mean, we already had so much in this trip that we couldn't make time for every single thing, but in spite of the city's size, I think around 300,000 people, at least in the urban part of the city. It the old I think it's the old city near the castle. It's very walkable, um, to a surprising degree. Here you can see the main square and some of the dragon bridges. They're famous for their dragons. It's one of the city emblems or whatever. But by this time it had also become time to look for somewhere to eat. So in this video, that was kind of what we were doing, at least sort of getting a feel for where we could go and when. and also just, of course, taking in the scenery. Anything you remember about Ljubljana?
It's really pretty.
It is pretty. Um, what did you like the most?
I don't remember.
You don't remember? I just thought it was a good place to walk around because we weren't there to really do many tourist attractions.
It was very chill.
It was chill, yeah. There weren't many cars, as you can see. This is sort of at least one of the city centers, and it's just bikes and people walking around. So that was very refreshing. It was, yeah, easy to get around without feeling intimidated by any motor vehicles. We did come across some restaurants, and there was no shortage of restaurants, but we were also just not entirely sure what we should go with. Um, Eventually, we did settle on something after walking around for a bit, and we definitely needed that rest. So, yeah.
Yeah, you can look at the menu.
Following dinner, we decided to walk around a bit more just because, yeah, we weren't in the city for that long. And even in the short amount of time we had been there, we had really grown to like it. So, just, yeah, went out, checked out a few places, sort of took the long way back to the hotel because nothing was too far away. I think our hotel was maybe like the most direct route 20 minutes or so from the old city where we were just walking around. So we just thought, while walking back, maybe we can see if there's some stores, a grocery store, maybe get some things to have in the hotel room or things like that. And I'd also discovered a bookstore, which is coming up here. And I thought, well, it could be cool to look inside just to see what they have. And of course, most of the books were in Slovene, but me being a language nerd, I did get some Slovene textbooks.
I'd say I kind of wish we were staying longer here, but the good news is, in Gorica, Slovenia's right there, so.
The last item on the agenda for the day was just to check out a grocery store, as I mentioned before. There was one in the vicinity, at least on the way back, or not too far out of the way. So once I got my bearings, we headed that way, and then decided to check out a Slovene store. Coming in, we did see near our hotel, at least not too far from it, there was this museum called the Slovenian Ethnographic Museum, I believe, and it's just full of exhibits about the history of the Slovene people and their traditions and all that kind of stuff. You can see the previous pictures. Their carnival celebration called Kurentovanje, and they also had in there they had a collection gathered by a Slovene guy who had moved to China and been collecting a bunch of stuff, and then his Japanese wife who had moved back, and then they wanted to open a museum exhibiting all these artifacts, but then couldn't just because of the goings on of the time. So if you are in Ljubljana, the Ethnographic Museum is definitely worth it. We didn't check out any other museums, but I feel like that was a worthwhile way to spend a morning. Your thoughts?
It was really cool.
Yeah, it was cool. It was small, but it packed quite a punch. So after that, we just, as you can see here, wandered a bit into the city. I did go to some stamp shop as seen there. I didn't buy anything. There was a bit of a language barrier, as is expected in countries that are a bit more out of the way. But again, lovely city, great experience. Would recommend. Alright, so it's the 18th in the afternoon here. We're in Ljubljana, capital of Slovenia. We have been for the past day or so, well more than a day, because we arrived here at like 6 in the morning from the night train. We haven't done too many updates, but it's I really like Slovenia. Like getting to and from Lake Bled was a bit of a task, but you know the lake was beautiful, and then coming back to Ljubljana. I mean, it's a big city, but you can walk pretty much anywhere. You don't even need to take public transport. Honestly, weather's okay in the shade. Yeah, Linn has a burek she's eating, cause just so she doesn't get hangry. Okay, okay. Yeah, well, we're going to stay here until about 3:30, and then we're going to take a train up to Jesenice, and then change, and then go down to Novogorica for the next part of our journey to explore my roots in Gorica, Novogorica. But we also went to this morning we went to the Slovene Ethnographic Museum. Very interesting. Learned about Slovene traditions and also about this dude and his Japanese wife who collected a bunch of Asian art and wanted to open a Chinese style museum here but couldn't because of wars and all that. So yeah, lots happened. Any thoughts, Lynn?
This is good.
That's good. What's in it?
Not sure.
Smells like chicken.
Chicken, Mexican flavor, burger.
Yeah, something spicy. Okay, well,
Not spicy.
we'll try to give an update later once we arrive in Gorica. Otherwise, I want to check out a hockey shop and maybe go to another bigger store before we leave. We had thought about going to the castle. I guess you can't see it up there, but we're not going to make it this time. So we just want to I want to get to Gorica before it's too late today. So, alright, we'll talk later.
Bye-bye.
So yeah, as you can see here, we did try and go and find the hockey store. Found the building, could not find any trace whatsoever of a hockey store ever being there. So enjoy some shots of Ljubljana to sort of close it out here. Again, if you do ever consider going to Slovenia, definitely check out Ljubljana. It's worth it. And so ends our sojourn to Ljubljana and Lake Bled. Any concluding thoughts about either?
I really liked it.
What did you like specifically?
Nature.
Yeah, the nature was good. Around Lake Bled at least. Ljubljana not so much, but it was a small enough city where you didn't feel like overwhelmed. But yeah, so that's it for this episode. Do check out the next episode where we continue somewhat in Slovenia on the border town called Gorizia in Italy, which is next to Slovenia, where I rediscover my roots. Yeah, so thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.